It's time to go back to work. I think I'm going to make a couple of variations of rocket stoves out of metal. I might make 2 or 3 of them. Different types. Times being what they are, I think it's best to have a few rocket stoves laying around. I have a 4.5 by 4.5 here and a 4 by 4 here with thicker gauge metal. I think I'm going to go with the 4 by 4 piece of steel, start cutting it up. I'm going to use my Rockwell jaw horse, which I'd forgot I had, and I'm going to cut a 45-degree angle in the scrap piece of steel I cut off the 4x4 and save it. I'm going to use the Metabo. Cut the excess off of this. Okay, this is the piece that I'm gonna use as the feeding tube, or the feeding side. I'll put the wood in here. So I just need to cut an opening in the stack for this to come into. So I kind of marked it out. I'll just cut an opening here with the Metabo, and that'll be where the feeding tube for the wood or whatever fuel you're going to use to come into. And then on the other side I'll make like an air intake. That's going to go like this. Okay, now we'll take the piece we cut off here and that's going to go like this. This will be the air intake and this will be the feeding tube. And I'll cut the bottom of this off here like that. That's the plan anyway. And we'll put like a expanded metal stopper in there so the bottom won't get clogged up. Okay, on the other side over here, you can see we cut in the feeding hole. Now we're going to cut in the air intake hole on this side, on the bottom of the stack. I cut the air intake hole there, the feeding tube like that. Now I just have to kind of line this up with that. And we'll cut the bottom off of this. I kind of have this marked, so what I'll do is I'll get it cut and get it tacked on there, and then I'll grind it out to make it smooth with the bottom. That'll be the air intake. Yeah, that looks about right. So I get it cut out. There we go. Something like that. This going here. Okay, now I'm going to cut out a go find a piece of expanded metal and cut it out and get it welded into the bottom, right at the bottom of this feeding tube here. So I'll cut this scrap expanded metal and piece it right at the bottom of the chute there. Okay, so I cut these two pieces of expanded metal, and I'm just gonna kind of stick them together and grind them to fit. So that's all I got. I think it'll work. So now I just want to fit this right up in there and get it welded down right at the opening. Okay, we got that welded down there. So now we have a wood stop or a heat source stop, and we can start finishing the rest of it. So we got the bottom somewhat ground. I don't know if it's level or not. We'll find out pretty quickly. But I found this piece of scrap metal out in the parts container, and it just may do the trick without having to cut, which is awesome. And that piece I cut off the end of this, I welded on the top just to be different. Tacked down, leveled out. Okay, I just need to put the top on, a couple of crossbars on the top to make the place to put a plate or something, but this will be my outdoor on the patio rocket stove. That's where the air goes in. Get it welded on. I do think this was like the fastest thing I ever made. It went so fast. But I'm calling it done. I just gotta take it outside. I want to grind some of the edges off of it so I don't cut myself like I'm prone to do. And there's the finished product. I'm gonna wipe it down, but that's it. We'll find out if it works here in a minute. Here's where we put the wood in, or whatever we're using for fuel. Put our food on, our pan. Here's where the air comes in. You know, you don't need that. I just put it on there because I had it laying there. I thought, oh, I'll just stick that on there. There's no rhyme or reason for that other than it's flat. It's got good balance because of the plate steel I put down, and I'm obviously not going to paint it until I can spray it with high heat spray paint. That's it. And we got it all wiped down now. Not that it matters, but My first rocket stove I ever made. I give credit where credit's due. I'm going to leave a link to where I got the basic design for this. Actually, I looked up, you know, making a rocket stove out of steel, and this is the first video that popped up. And I used this basic design. I did a little different things a little differently, and not that much differently, but I don't know if it works. I guess we're going to find out. His worked, so let's see if mine works too. This thing, I put this together fast, really fast. So I'm a little skeptical if it'll work, you know. I'm just a hobbyist, but it's my first of many rocket stove builds. I'm out of the boxes now. I'm out of the boxes and I'm into the rocket stoves. So let's take it out and see if it works. So we'll see if this is candy approved here. We're gonna try it out. Well, it looks good. Candy's gathering wood.
Yes.
Do you like your
I love it. So much better than that plastic bin we've been using for years. Ah, what stupid
windy?
Very windy. Not cold really, but it's windy. It's about 35 degrees. You can see the ice is melting finally off the driveway. The snow is finally melting a little, but it'll take a while. What Jesse usually does, this snow is in the shade, even in the summer. So he'll get the tractor out and move it out eventually, but it's gonna take a while for the big melt. That's for sure. That's okay though, it's still early. It's only like March 8th. So the nice thing about getting this snow, it fills up all our aquifers, because a lot of people up here are on wells, as well as us, and fills up our lakes. So it's good that we get this snow, and we don't mind it. Some people think, oh my God, how can you live up there, lowercase g? And it's like, it's just not a big deal. But I know some people don't like the cold. But, you know, when you say it's 35 degrees, people down south, my relatives, like, oh my goodness, I could never go outside. But for 35, it's like our 80. So we're happy with the weather. Not the wind as much. So me and Jesse were talking this morning about making a rocket stove, or actually buying one. And Jesse says, I can make one. And he says, well, that's cool. And there it is, with some basically free steel, because we get a good price on all the scraps that we buy. We go once a week, sometimes twice. And look at that, it's beautiful. Better than anything you could buy. And it's not gonna blow away in the wind, obviously, because it's nice, heavily, sturdily built. And fun. So now we can cook outdoors. You know, if you don't have charcoal, you know, or propane or electricity, now you can cook outside. Now we do have the wood stove that's also a cook stove, but who wants to get a big burning fire like when it's 90 degrees outside to put a pot of soup on? So no, we don't have to do that. We can go right there, the rocket stove. I think it's a better name though. I don't know, we'll have to figure out a better name than a rocket stove.
Let's see if it works.
Yeah, I got some kindling here. I got some dry leaves. I've never used one, so I got to figure out how to do it. Nice thing about oak leaves, they stick around all year. You can see our trees, some of them don't even lose their leaves till spring. I got some really nice birch bark that usually catches really fast. I like the deep tube. That way you can get some bigger pieces in.
Maybe you want as small the pieces as you can. Those might be a little too big.
You think so?
Like
I've never investigated.
Little slivers in there, I do believe. So
all right.
Let me get my Harbor Freight little axe and we'll...
Well, I could probably...
Okay, well, we can do that.
Let's see if I can do this. This is really dry stuff.
Easier.
It's been in the greenhouse for a couple years, so you can... This is our kindling we use to start our fires. Let's see if I can find some smaller pieces here. That might be too hard. I don't know how much I need to put in, because like I said, I've never...
Well, we just load a little at a time.
All right, well, Let's see.
Let me go get the
kindling?
little axe.
Okay. That piece has a knot in it. That should be enough for now.
I cut up some more fuel here. Ideally, I think this is what you want. Well, and then you just kind of push them in there and keep feeding them, pushing them down as they burn. Okay, we're looking for just the right height to to not clog it, but let the air in. So I got these little tiny pieces of angle iron. The other was too high. This is too low. So I might end up just welding those on just like that. Let me show you.
And just like Goldilocks, that might be just right.
See, it might be just right. That might be just the right height. It's working really, really good. I had the wind blowing in this side, and of course it was blowing the feed tube, because the wind's blowing so hard.
And different directions.
And different directions, but it was blowing this way, and once I moved that side out of the wind, or, you know, so the wind wasn't just completely blowing in that side, it started working like it's supposed to really well. Now the only flame you see isn't shooting out of here, it's coming out the top like it's supposed to. See that? We're new to this stuff, but we know now it's working exactly like it should be. In fact, I think we didn't even need to raise it like we were raising it. Let's take that off there and see if it works. Take these things off, because they're still, yeah. Let's try it now with that like that. Yeah, it's still working like it's supposed to, so we really didn't need to raise it or lower it.
Got some shells in there. That's okay. It's calcium.
How's it look, honey?
Just look. Just about there.
Ooh.
Just about there. I can hear the grease sizzling. You can see it sizzling. Just gotta get a little bit of that egg white. A little bit more. I know you like your eggs sunny side up, so won't be long.
Oh yeah, I'm hungry.
I have a terrible time getting eggs out of pans. I always break the yolk. We'll see if I don't this time. There you go.
Yeah.
Hear that sizzle?
I would say that's a pretty successful build, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. We had a little issue trying to figure out the wind flow, the airflow, I should say, the height of the pan. We eventually put those things back on. You know, of course, we're talking 30-something degrees, you know, so...
Heck, it's got to be in the teens now.
Yeah, the wind really picked up, the sun went away, but, you know, it still absorbs heat and cold, so it's something to figure out. We're happy.
It's time to fire up the wood stove, get the real fire going now. Oh, it's getting cold out. Thanks for watching.